Hey, it's Teresa with My Lice Advice, and today we're talking about mayonnaise for lice. Does it work, and how do you do it? Let's get to it. If you're struggling with lice, you are not alone. Tons of parents are struggling with lice, and that's because lice today have grown immune to lice treatments that worked in the past. So if you've tried a bunch of lice kits and you still have lice, then that's because lice are immune to them. That's why a lot of parents are turning to home remedies to try to help with their lice problem. And today we're talking about one of those home remedies. We're talking about mayonnaise for lice. And we're going to answer 3 questions about mayonnaise today. The first is, how do you do a mayonnaise lice treatment on your child? The second, and more important, is, does mayonnaise kill lice? And the third is, does mayonnaise kill nits or lice eggs? Now, before getting started, let me introduce myself so you know who I am. My name's Teresa. I'm a registered nurse and I specialize in head lice. I own my own lice center where people come and I help them with their lice problem. And I work for the government and with school districts all related to lice. But the most important thing that I do is on my website, myliceadvice.com. And that's where I teach parents how to get rid of lice in one treatment by doing the same professional technique that I use in my lice center, in my government work, all of that. Basically, I walk parents through in a series of videos, step by step, exactly what to do and how to do it. And don't go thinking that this is a lice kit or a home remedy, because lice kits don't work. So with this professional technique, you don't use any lice kits, and it's not a home remedy. It's a professional technique that I teach parents in a series of videos. So obviously that's what I recommend to people the most, but I like to talk about home remedies because if mayonnaise is helpful, then I'd want you to do it. So let's talk about it. Now, let's talk about the basics of a mayonnaise lice treatment. Now, the reason why people recommend mayonnaise for lice is the same reason that they recommend things like olive oil or any other kind of oil. Some people even talk about melted butter. They all have this same theory, and that theory is that if you leave it on the head for 8 hours, then it will smother lice, like make it so that they basically suffocate because they can only hold their breath for 6 hours. So that's the theory behind it, and we're going to test whether or not that theory is actually accurate. So when people do a mayonnaise lice treatment, what they do is they put mayonnaise on dry hair and completely saturate the hair. And then a lot of people wrap it in plastic. I don't recommend wrapping in plastic, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But they leave it on the head for 8 hours. So a lot of people will put their kids to bed with it or something like that. And again, the theory is that it would kill lice bugs. So let's talk next about whether or not that's true. I'd like to start with the question, does mayonnaise kill lice eggs or nits? Now, lice eggs and nits are the same thing. It just depends on where you live and who you talk to, what people call them. But nits are those little eggs that lice lay in the hair. And if you don't take care of them, then they just hatch and reinfest your child over and over. So there isn't a home remedy or a lice treatment out there that kills lice eggs. So that's why lice treatment kits and why home remedies tell you that you have to retreat over and over again over the course of several weeks. That's because you might kill some of the lice bugs, but the eggs hatch within a couple of days and they'll just reinfest your child over and over again. So if you're going to do a home remedy like mayonnaise, you need to know that this is a commitment. You're not going to be able to just do it once and be done with it. You're going to have to retreat multiple times, because if you don't, then you're just going to get lice right back because the lice eggs or nits hatch and just reinfest your child. That's where the professional technique that I teach is different, because I actually teach parents how to kill and remove every single lice egg or nit as well. And that's why it's different and why you can get rid of lice in just one treatment, because you're going to kill all the lice bugs and kill all of the lice eggs. Does mayonnaise kill lice bugs? The first thing you need to know about using any home remedy is that lice play dead. Lice have a coping mechanism anytime they're exposed to large amounts of oil or a liquid for a prolonged period of time. They go into a hibernation state where they close up their breathing holes and they play dead. And this is just a way of them preserving energy. And these lice can stay in this hibernation state for a very long time. The theory of lice holding their breath for only 6 hours is definitely not true. There have been tons of studies. Lice can hold their breath, actually some of them longer than 24 hours. And so when people do a lice treatment like mayonnaise, a lot of times they'll see these lice in a hibernation state where they're playing dead. But you have to be really careful because once that mayonnaise is rinsed out, you got to make sure that those lice don't come back to life. And in the study, mayonnaise on the head for 8 hours only killed 20% of lice bugs. Now that might impress you, but it definitely shouldn't, because if you consider that you have 100 lice bugs on your head and you only kill 20% of them, you still have 80% of lice still on your head. Don't run off, because I do want to talk to you about what works. And that is to do a professional treatment technique on your child at home. This is not a lice kit, it's not a lice product, and it's not a home remedy. It's doing the same technique that lice professionals like myself use that works 100% of the time. So I teach parents how to do this at home on my website, myliceadvice.com. And it's in a program called Get Rid of Lice Like a Pro. And it's called that because I'm teaching you the pro technique. So if you're already on my website, My Lice Advice, then you can find that program just in the main menu called Get Rid of Lice Like a Pro. But if you're on YouTube, then there's also a link right below. Now you may be thinking to yourself, I just want to give mayonnaise a try. There's no harm in that. That's not entirely true. Some children, like the one in this article, have died from a mayonnaise lice treatment. And what went wrong was that they put plastic on their child's head and they put them to bed. And the child suffocated and died because the plastic went over their nose and their mouth. So don't ever put plastic on your child's head, and definitely don't put them to bed with plastic on their head. Now, be sure to like and subscribe to this video, and if you have questions that you want me to address in another video, then please put those in the comments. Or if you just want to comment, lice sucks, I hate lice, I'd love to hear that as well. And if you are on YouTube and you want to stick on YouTube, then this video here talks about Get Rid of Lice Like a Pro, what it is, how it works, and this other video here is one I think you'd like. Either way, I'll see you there.